we'll do, we're going to call the meeting to order. We'll have our pledge to our flag, and then we'll pray, and then we'll get started with the business portion. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father, we thank you for this time to come together to discuss county business. Lord, we pray for your guidance, your wisdom. I thank you, Lord, for all your many blessings. The day that we've had started out a little bit wet, but it turned out beautiful. You know our needs better than us, and I'm so grateful we're not responsible for the weather. Lord, be with us as we go through each of these items tonight. Let us be respectful, let us be discerning, and above all else, Lord, I pray that whatever is accomplished, said and done, will bring you glory. We ask all of these things in your name. Amen. All right, first item of business is the minutes from our last meeting, which was February 5th. Once you have a chance, I'll take a motion to approve those minutes. Motion to approve. I have a motion to approve the minutes. Second. I have a second. Any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, Commissioner Strickland? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Very good. All right. We have a group here tonight. We're gonna give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. I'm gonna introduce the county extension agent, Adam Spear. And Adam has the Senior Horse Quiz Bowl team, and we want to recognize them and hear a little bit about them from Madison.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everybody, and as the Chairman mentioned, we do have some great members of our 4-H club here this evening, members of our senior 4-H horse quiz bowl team. Just a few weeks ago, they competed in Morgan County at the 4-H state competition and placed first. So we're definitely happy to see that. Last year, I believe they placed third, so they came back with a vengeance and got first place. We're proud of them, and I'm going to let one of our great 4-H volunteers and the team's coach, Ms. Shannon McBride, actually come up here and introduce them. And there may be a few questions involved in this, so I'll let Ms. Shannon, if you want to come up here, please.
Hi there. Again, my name is Shannon McBride, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to step aside so I can address the whole group, because I'm very proud of this group of individuals. I'd like to introduce my team. My captain was Tori Branyan, Bethany Lance, Sophie Merka, and Ms. Tori Branyan. Tess Branyan, I'm so sorry. All right. Horse Quiz Bowl is a trivia contest, and basically these girls have learned everything about there is to know about equine, both inside and out. It also deals with the industry itself and the careers it has to offer. And the facilities it takes, and of course also involves county ordinance and stuff, such as if you are allowed to have horses on your place. The contest is a double elimination contest. It is within two teams compete against one another. They are given questions, one-on-one questions, and for 2 rounds, and then are given a toss-up. And it is time-based, and each round contains 20 questions. We had, such questions would include, and I'm just going to throw a couple out there, for them to be able to, and I just ask each of you take a chance, whichever one you want, to give you an example of what they would be have to be responsible for now learning. What breed characteristically has vertically striped hooves and white sclera around their eyes? Ms. Tori? The Appaloosa. The Appaloosa breed, that is correct. So what insect dwells in the alfalfa hay and if ingested by horses may cause sickness or even death? Sophie? Blister beetles. Blister beetles is correct. What are the two blind spots in a horse's vision? Bethany?
Directly in front and directly behind.
Absolutely. And then lastly, what stimulates horses into growing their winter coats?
Shorter day length.
Shorter day length, not that cold weather. All right. So we competed against 13 teams, senior teams, and this contest was January, and we went undefeated. This is a double elimination contest, so being undefeated, we're pretty proud of. This also does give us an opportunity to compete in a regional competition known as Southern Regional, and this is located in Perry in August. And then we also have the honor of competing in the national contest in Denver, Colorado. That'll be next January. We have a lot of work to do. It truly has been a pleasure working with these girls. I was counting back, and time does pass very quickly, but I have seen these girls, first met these girls in the 5th grade. Now we are in 9th and 10th grade. So 5 years, wow, where did it go? But they have certainly earned that privilege and the honor to be able to represent the state of Georgia. And I guarantee you, what I consider a dream team, and on the national level, Madison County, Georgia, will be known at the national level in January. Thank you.
And thank you all very much.
So we're all proud of our girls, and as Ms. Shannon said, we are going to be planning to go to Denver.
Yes.
And so we're probably going to be doing some fundraising.
Tickets and long johns.
There you go.
Thank
That's
you.
excellent. Thank you. Thank you again, Shannon.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item is, I'm just going to, for the chairman's report, I'm going to give the update for the industrial development building authority. We've got a couple of items that I just wanted to throw out there. So, I know we've all seen some, yeah, please feel free if you want to, all right. We have a couple of, since we last met anyhow, there's another business, and it's coming in probably at the, well, not probably, it's coming in at the Dogsboro intersection. This, around here, we always refer to it as the Ingalls intersection. It's proposed to be a Family Dollar store, and what's probably more important with this Family Dollar is that it will drive bringing sewer and water across that intersection, putting it on the west side. It will then tie into Bill's Barbecue, if any of you know that, where that's located. And then we have a recently purchased piece of property just beyond that will house an urgent care center in Madison County. So this is an opportunity for us to at least, just by moving that water and sewer that distance, and hopefully, open up some stuff on that side of the county. So the other item that we met actually it was Friday week with Franklin County and a number of folks with Georgia Renewable Power. The purpose was to establish some, try to clear up some issues and questions regarding primarily the financing and funding of the project. We're trying to establish a water line from Elbert County, and we're working on a memorandum of understanding right now with with Georgia Renewable Power, looking for a little bit of a partnership with them as opposed to us just going out and borrowing all that and putting it in the ground. So try to mitigate some of our risk and get a little bit of their skin in the game. I was at the site yesterday, and I can share with you that there's a building is going up now. In other words, they've done all their below the surface work, and they're now building the actual housing for that plant down there. And it's on the backside, for those of you who know where the old warehouse or plant is, or the building is. It's actually on the back side of that. Everybody thinks it's inside it, but it's actually on the back side. So you're not going to see it from the HB Chandler side of the road, but if you go on around, you'll see it start going up there. And then the last item for the IDA though is we will entertain or start looking to fill a vacant seat on the board. The IDA board has a vacancy that we'll look to fill, and then that nomination will be brought before the Board of Commissioners here for approval, vote approval. Okay, with that.
Sorry, before you move from that,
Please.
could you give us an update on the grant ride?
I got everything in place yesterday. Tracy Dake, our HR, and I, we have an ad. We have everything I think that we want on this. I know I said I'd get it out last week, but it is something that, quite honestly, we wanted to make sure I had and I can provide the board the actual ad that's going to go out, and hopefully we'll have that out on the web tomorrow. So we had hitting the schedules and everything with Tracy, and she's our HR rep. So hopefully that'll, I think we can get that out tomorrow. Should have done it today, but we had a few other things brewing today that took me out of the office. We do want to get this going, and we do have a few projects already, and I'm actually glad you mentioned about the grant. I spoke with Georgia Department of Transportation this past Friday, and I don't have the exact dollar amount right now, but Madison County was awarded in excess of $500,000 for some improvements on our roads. No match associated with that, so they will be letting contracts to start some of that work here in the next month or so. But I'll definitely follow up on the grant writer, and I'll let you know when we actually either hire or when we're in the selection process.
I appreciate the expedite, because I had hoped that they would want to work on January 2nd.
But I do understand. We're working it, and I am trying to get, we want to make sure we get somebody that's able to hit the ground running too, as opposed to trying to train somebody. We will solicit and screen as best we can on that. All right, statements and remarks from citizens on any of the agenda items. We have 3 agenda items tonight. We'll consider abandoning 3 roads, bids for a 911 call taking system, and then considering nonpartisan elections. What we'll do is I'll open the floor, and I'm going to ask that since we've got a fairly good crowd here, that we try to keep our remarks brief. Our bylaw said 3 to 4 minutes. If we can keep it somewhere in there, I think everybody will have a chance to speak, and we can move along pretty good. So with that, I will open the floor for statements and remarks from anybody who would like to speak on these 2 agenda items.
Mr. Chairman, could we take these roads one at a time so that it won't confuse?
Right, we can consider them,
Not have people cut it up speaking
okay,
all 3.
okay, well, if anybody would like to speak for, to make their comments or their feelings known on the roads, you were saying you want those done separately, or?
Well, somebody may want to speak on Kane Road, somebody Hill Morris Road, and we wouldn't want them following each other when then somebody come back and speak on the same road. It'd be confusing to the board and to the people, I think.
Well, and if I could just follow on that, since that actually is a public hearing requirement, we could just allow people to speak on those roads under that agenda item separately from this general comment on the agenda item period.
Very good. So does everybody understand that?
Can you mention the roads?
There are 3. Kane Road, it's at the intersection near the intersection of 281 and Farmtown Road. There's Hill Morris Road, and that is it joins Farm Road and Arnold Bottoms Road. And the last is a portion of the western half of M&S Lane, basically, which comes off of Vineyard Creek and goes in And so, for those that would like to speak on the road issues or on the road abandonment, if you'll hold those comments, we'll make an opportunity available for each of those as we discuss that item. All right? So, if anybody would like to speak on items number 6 or 7, and I've got, Ms. Angela Bush here in front. Go ahead.
Thank you for all that good news you shared just a moment ago, Commissioner Chairman. I prepared my statement so I can be brief, I hope. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I am Angela Bush. I'm the chair of the Madison County Republican Party. I'm representing the party in opposition to the expansion of nonpartisan elections in Madison County. We believe party matters. We believe voters should know when they cast their vote if they're voting for a Democrat or a Republican. The transparency of the ballot is important to maintaining conservative principles in local government, and removing party from the ballot allows candidates to hide behind a nonpartisan designation. Removing the party from the ballot will muddy the waters for voters who do not have personal relationships with the candidates. People new to the county don't know the values of a particular candidate, but they know the values of both Republican and Democrat parties. When the issue was raised by this commission last November, I wrote to each of you, as well as Senator Ginn and Representatives Powell and McCall, because they are involved in this process as well. The Madison County Republican Party, the 9th District Republican Party, and the Georgia GOP all passed resolutions against the expansion of nonpartisan elections during the last convention cycle. We believe it's beneficial to candidates as well as voters to present a set of principles that candidates and voters alike can recognize and use as common ground for understanding conservative values. This proposed expansion is a distraction from the issues that most impact us in Madison County. Our focus should be on economic development and providing services to the citizens. How those tasks are accomplished is informed by party principles. The voters need clarity about the values of candidates when they go to the polls. You have the freedom to run as a Democrat, Republican, or Independent, and the voters need you to declare your convictions. We suggest you follow the process that's in place and run as an independent if you prefer that over the other two parties. We're in opposition to the expansion of nonpartisan elections. I thank you for your time, and I thank each of you for your work on the Board of Commissioners. It's appreciated.
Well, let that bit of applause last for the rest of the evening. We could, I appreciate the enthusiasm. Let's just skip that part. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on items number 6 or 7? And I was asked you for your name and address.
Hey, my name's Melissa Tufts, and I live in Mr. Pethel's district.
What is the name?
Melissa Tufts.
Okay.
And my husband and I feel very strongly that we should have nonpartisan elections here in our county. I think we sometimes forget that we live in a representative democracy where elected officials are asked to do what's good for the whole community, not just the people who agree with them or their party's platform. Nonpartisan elections will allow more flexibility, be less divisive, and encourage more participation in local elections. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Anybody else like to speak? Yes, sir, please.
Good evening. My name is David Ramsey. I live in District 1. I am addressing the issue of nonpartisan elections. I do applaud you for considering this. I think it's important that since many of the issues that you discuss in this district and in this county don't have anything to do with party affiliation, including things like economy and so forth, I think people, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or Independent, are more concerned about the economy based on their own personal concerns and those of their families, for example. So, I think that extending the nonpartisan election situation would be good for this county. And I hope that when you vote, you will vote accordingly. I do have one other thing to bring up. You mentioned, as I followed this, that this would require a unanimous vote. I don't see why a unanimous vote is needed. There's nothing about nonpartisan election issues that differs, in my opinion, from other issues in the county. So, we live in a democracy, not a place where the minority dictates to the majority. So I hope that you will change your opinion about unanimous decisions for this rather than voting as you normally would for any other issue and voting either majority or minority and then following through on the majority's decision. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anybody else?
Good evening, board. Thank you very much for allowing us to speak tonight on the agenda item of considering nonpartisan election. First of all, let me thank you for allowing this to come up for a discussion. A lot of times, controversial things of this sort, we shun and we put it aside. We don't want to talk about it because people may not like the way we vote or the way we think. But I believe that nonpartisan elections are needed. If it's needed for the school board, if it's needed for judges, what's the difference between county commissioners, sheriff, and other elected officials? What is the difference? You represent me as a Democrat. You represent the audience, or a lot of these people out here as Republicans. You have to represent all of us. Give you a good example of where I believe that it's unfair. I myself ran for one of your seats. But in order for me to vote for sheriff, I had to either get a Republican ballot or not have a voice. That is unfair. That is unfair to all folks. You should have a voice in who is elected in your county. So therefore, I ask you to think about it, vote your conviction. Don't let me decide how you're going to vote. Don't let the audience decide how you're going to vote. Vote for what you believe is right for the citizens of Madison County. That is your task, and I encourage you to do that. And just one last comment. The gentleman that just spoke before me was talking about a unanimous decision. I was thinking, I believe he's talking about what your delegation has told you, that they would not take anything to the General Assembly unless it was a unanimous vote. I think that's wrong also. Now, that's something we'll have to bring before them and deal with them in that particular case. But this is a society that the majority rules. So if your vote is 3-2, 4-1, whatever, I don't believe that one person should be allowed. Because if you vote to approve it and you're not unanimous and they won't take it to the General Assembly, then we're just wasting our time. So thank you very much for your time, and I ask for you to consider this on an individual basis, not by crowd size, not by who's who, but by what you think is right for the citizens of Madison County.
Very good. Thank you.
I'm very respectful of the Democrats in this county. I'm very respectful of the views that's been expressed here, and I understand them, and I appreciate them. But you do represent me, as well as everybody else, and it's my right to vote, and it's my right to know that my commissioners will do what's right, and the way that I vote is to inform you to do what's right, and I need to know what you think. I need to know how you feel. I need to know what you stand for. So when I vote, I can vote with some education. That's what I mean. Otherwise, I can vote for anybody and not know what they're gonna do when they get here. I need to know where you stand, and I don't think that's something you should hide behind. I think you should be upfront about it, and I think you should be able to, if there's something you agree with, then you should stand up for it. If you can't win on the party that you serve, then maybe you don't need to win. I understand that, it is a difficult process, but we are a polarized nation, and the way that our system is set up, we do vote by parties. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's the way we do it. And the reason is, it helps us be educated in the process. And, while I respect Cornelius, you know, your values and your words and the way you ran for it, a lot of things I respect about him, a lot of things I can follow. But when it comes down to it, I need to know how you're gonna vote. Not because I think that, I can control it. I just need to know where you stand, because I'm gonna vote for the person that I think best represents me. The only way I can tell that is right now, the way the system's set up, is what party you belong to. So I urge you to vote vote to leave things the way that they are, not change it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My question is, why is this even an issue? Our government is set up to be a two-party system. Why is it an issue in Madison County? I guess I don't know that answer, and I really am respectfully asking for this to be explained to me.
What's your name again?
My name is Winola Wink. And I also want to know who I'm voting for, what party I'm voting for, because we need transparency all the way around in this country. Too many people hiding behind the smoke screen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Can I just say one thing? I didn't come talk about this, but I have an opinion.
What's your name first?
Carol Smith.
Okay.
The sheriff, he has to say what party he's for, right? But does he not represent every citizen in Madison County? The senators, the legislatures, do they have to state what party they're from? Do they represent their district, their senate, every person in it, or do they just represent the Republicans or the Democrats, whichever party they're voting for? I mean, that's something that needs to be, I mean, you know, where do you draw a line as to, you know, you represent everybody in the county, you represent everybody in the district, you represent everybody in the state, the governor. I mean, you know, he's supposed to represent Georgia, whether I'm a Democrat or Republican, he's supposed to represent me, right? So, I mean, there's got to be a stopping place. You know, it's set up this way, it probably should just be left. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Charles Mix, NIX. We're not a democracy, we're a representative republic. And I like to know exactly who I'm voting for before I would do voting, just as you would. I want to know why get rid of transparency. Like, I don't know if he's a Democrat, I don't know if he's an independent, I don't know if he's a Republican, whatever. If you're ashamed of turning out and saying what you are, then I guess you're just ashamed of that. But if you really believe in what you believe in, then you ought to be able to say, I'm a Republican, Democrat, I'm an independent, whatever I am, and then let me know what you're for. Because I'd rather vote for somebody that I know everything they're talking about, and everything in the background, and everything about them, and I want them to come out and tell me their ideas, and are they Republican, Democrat. That's pretty dang simple. Because I'm not going to buy a pig in a poke. And that's just the way I think it ought to be. If you know what you are, then tell them what you are. And let people vote from that. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, sir. Anybody else? You got close there.
My name is Maggie Schoberg. I live in Isla.
and I had no intentions of speaking this evening, so I don't have a prepared statement. But I think, listening to what everybody else has said, I agree with all of it. But I think that sometimes if you put labels on somebody, then you don't really know what it is that they believe or what they are going to do for you to serve you. And I think, coming from the top down, yes, I'm never going to meet the people that are running for president of this country personally. I'm never going to talk to them personally. So it helps me for them to be labeled, I guess, although maybe that's not such a good thing. But I think at this local level, I mean, I've lived here a long time, and I am finally now trying to get more involved here with people here. And I don't want to know what their label is. I want to know what they think. I want to interact with them personally, and I think sometimes labeling parties gets in the way of actually going out and talking to those people and saying, hey, you know, what is it that you believe? I think, for instance, I keep thinking about the sheriff, and it doesn't matter what party he is. He's supposed to uphold the law. So what difference does it make? We should hire the best person to be the sheriff that can best uphold the law. To me, I mean, I don't think it matters what party they are. So I'm in favor of nonpartisan local elections. Not so much national, but local, yes, I am. So there.
Thank you. All right. Last call.
My name is Randolph Strickland and all that, and I served in service. My stepfather's grandson was killed over there, come back fighting for us, and my son went over there, come back, he was injured too. And thank God I made it out alive, good. But we're coming up here wanting to take something away from it, to stand where we can do it. I don't know whether the people is paid, whether they're a Democrat or nothing. That don't matter too much. But we need to keep a party. We got it now, everything, because we have went and fought for that freedom, and let's keep this freedom just like we have it now.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm out of Kerry. Some people call me Buck. I've been in the county since 1931, so I've had considerable experience in the county. I really don't know what Mr. Eastcote, he hasn't had a chance to explain what he's talking about when he's talking about non-partisan elections. Maybe we ought to wait till he has his chance to say what he's trying to put forward. What the difference is in between the type of election we already have. I don't mind people knowing that I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, and I think the taxpayers should get as much as they can out of the people that's making decisions that's going to spend the money. Now, and that's the same thing for the local, state, and national political systems. And I think you all would agree with that. But I'm sure Mr. Eastcote will come later on and tell us what he has in mind. But when I think about this particular area of this school building, I think of Francis Glenn from over at Carlton. I don't know whether any of you remember Francis Glenn or not. but she was a teacher here for a long time, and a good teacher, is along with many of the other teachers that we had here in school. But as the old saying goes now, this is a free country, so to speak, so everybody has a right to speak their own mind. And if they don't do it, it's their own fault. But I kind of like the way the Republicans do business. I'm not too liberal, if you might say, but the reason I'm up here is I had a telephone call from our leader, and she wanted to know if I'd come up here and put a sign on me tonight. So that's the reason I'm wearing a sign. But I'll see what Mr. Eastcott has to say, and then I'll know whether I want to support him or not.
All right, is there anybody else? Okay.
Hi, I'm here against the nonpartisan elections, and one of the reasons is when I had someone run for city council where I live, it was somebody new. I mean, it's a little town, trust me. I couldn't find out who they were. Of course, it's nonpartisan elections, so I mean, I am against not knowing whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, because I didn't know what his mindset was. He's not on Facebook, he's not on Twitter, he's not online. There was nothing in the paper that I saw. The city hall could not give out his number because it's private. In a little town, I cannot find out who the person is that I was supposed to vote for. People don't know y'all. I mean, a lot of people don't know who you are. I'm sorry, but they don't. And new people moving in won't know. One of the ways you know what somebody thinks is if they are brave enough to say, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. I don't care which one you are, just tell me, you know. And then I will be one of those who will come to ask you more. But a lot of people never will. They just know what they believe, which principles they believe in. So I think it's good that we are transparent and keep it that way and not try to hide what you believe.
Can I get your name?
Diane Satterfield.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once, going twice.
You sure you turned that air conditioner down?
I did. I felt it come on a while ago, and we're gone, by the way. Well, listen, I appreciate everybody's, and just so you're, not angry at us yet, that this is, I want to be real clear that that's an opportunity for statements and remarks from citizens. So if we don't interact, we're going to have that here in a minute on our side, so, I didn't want you to think we were just ignoring you. Okay. With that, we're going to go on with item number 5, which is consider the abandonment of several roads. The first road we're going to consider is Kane Road. And, program just, much like the, zoning, just to get opposition, or it's just open for comments.
You can, or you can comment, whatever you prefer.
Let's keep it as simple as we can. If there's anybody here tonight, we're going to consider abandoning the Kane Road. Kane Road, for those of you who may or not know, is a very short road. It's about 3/10, I believe it's .28, a little less than a third of a mile from the northeast part of our county. And it is a shortcut through road with a parallel cut, main road, Town Road. So, anybody like to speak on this tonight? Anybody at all? Okay, I'm going to take it as a gift and say...
Did you say abandon the road?
I'm sorry, let me clarify.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so, these 3 roads that we're considering are currently county roads, county maintained. In this case, all 3 are dirt gravel roads. And, whether, each year when we bring on new roads, if we adopt new roads under maintenance, the state has a system where it is preferable to abandon roughly or approximately the same number of miles. It doesn't always work out that way, otherwise we're always going to have dirt roads at some point. But again, those that no longer serve a public good or service, that is a huge consideration. The cost is a consideration. Won't hide behind that either. So these are all items that go into the consideration, and sometimes there are requests that cause us to go look and see what the purpose is. So the first road again is Kane, and since I did not see anybody that wants to speak for that, we'll go ahead and consider that. We'll close the, I'm sorry, yes ma'am?
What happens to the property that these roads service?
All of these properties are currently, they're either running through somebody's property or the property is joined. And the county has basically, if it traverses somebody's property, it is our desire to return it back to that property owner. If it's shared, we want to take it to a center point along the road and also return it to the property owner. So we'll consider that, we'll close the public portion, and we'll come back and have discussion here. The motion, in this case, would be to consider abandoning Kane Road.
You ready for a motion?
I am, sir.
I'll make a motion that we abandon Kane Road.
I have a motion to abandon.
Second.
I have a second. Now, is there any discussion among the commissioners on this road? Seeing none, vote is to Commissioner Bettis.
Yes.
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 Okay. The next road is Hill Morris Road. Hill Morris
Runs a farm road over the whole lot.
It is.
And it's a trash dump right now. But this property owned on that road, it would be sealed off from that if you close that road.
0.68 acres, and the first part was true, it was picked up today.
There's another person that owns 6.5 acres right there on him, right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm addressing that. The road's clear now, though. It was cleaned today. Yeah.
It's clear, that's for sure.
Well, it is clear because of the deal with the property owner that's landlocked, asked that it be clear that she would agree to abandon. So we have no opposition, at least we haven't had it, unless I'm surprised here tonight, but there's no comment to speak. So is anybody that would like to speak to abandoning, again, 0.68, 2/3 of a mile, joining Farm Road and All Barnard Road? Nobody. Okay. Well, then we'll consider the public hearing closed, and we'll open up the business portion. And the motion will be to consider abandoning Hill Morris Road.
Make a motion to abandon Hill Morris Road.
I have a motion to abandon Hill Morris Road. Is there a second?
But you have to notify the people who own property on that road?
They've all been notified. They get a 30-day.
Right in the middle of that road, halfway down that road, and owns about 6.5 acres facing that road.
Stacy Strickland, and she received.
I have no idea, I just know that.
The process, the county attorney, if anybody is a property owner along those roads, they are notified, and they have a 30-day public notice, and in some cases we've had, so.
And since you invoked my name, I'm sorry, weigh in again, please. Instead of this back and forth, if we could, if anybody wants to talk about this, when the chairman calls for the public, for the hearing, for comments, come up and speak in the microphone.
And what we do is, when we do our minutes, a lot of times, just so people have a record of it, we will record who actually speaks for or against it, and that's really the purpose, So I've got a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second, so we can discuss something.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to abandon Any discussion now?
What's the lady gonna do with landlocked property?
I've spoken with her a number of times, and she's shared with me that she has no, she's okay, and she doesn't really want to use for the land.
How many acres is it?
I'm gonna go with this gentleman that said, I don't have a plat from me, but I'm gonna guess it's probably 5 or 6 acres.
It's just gonna be there.
There is a statute that says any landlocked parcel has a right by law to gain at least a 20-foot wide ingress-egress easement across adjoining property to the nearest public road. I believe on this one, most, if not all, of the other properties owned by a single owner. My guess would be that she has talked to that owner and they'll work out just basically common driveway maintenance agreement for what's the road bed now. That's typically what people do.
And you do know that has to be a deeded easement, now, don't it?
Talking about for developing the property?
Well, no, for landlocked properties, my knowledge is there is no such thing as an easement anymore, as a deeded right of way.
No such thing as an easement anymore.
I saw that somewhere.
There is, I just got an easement for a neighbor to use my driveway, so there is.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a prescriptive, right?
Right, so you can have one by law, you can have one declared, at least 20 feet wide, but as Mr. Truffle said, you can also, have, common driveway easements are really, that's how they typically come up, and.
Well, we're talking about landlocked property here.
Yeah.
Is their property landlocked?
No.
It's more convenient to use your driveway.
Yeah. Well, it's saved them money to grade their drive.
So you may be thinking about something that's in the zoning or subdivision regulations about you can have so many lots without a deeded right of way versus just a common easement or something, so it could have an effect on.
Somewhere in landlocked.
Right, it can have an effect on.
It has to do with landlocked.
Okay. It can have an effect on developing the property for sure.
Well, as long as, you're sure that she's never gonna come back.
Not only I, but, the road superintendent had both spoken with her, and, on several occasions, the latest being Friday of this past week, that, her big concern was that we clear the property, or clear the debris, the trash and everything. And she was quite content. I mean, she's a younger lady that expressed no real interest. She understood what we were doing, and she also received the same notification. So I have no doubt that she is clear. What's that?
She's not here tonight, so that shows she didn't care.
Well, she really did not, and she shared with me that it wasn't an issue for her.
For land is not owned forever.
It's a true statement. Is there any other discussion on that? The vote goes to Commissioner Tuffle.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Okay. And the last one, and this one, Commissioners, you have a packet that has a depiction of the road. Since it's not a complete or origin or origination to termination as far as the road itself, this is a portion that we'll be talking about. M&F Lane is approximately 1 mile long, 0.97 miles long. Depending on your direction, from Vineyards Creek, it comes off Vineyards Creek, and it continues northeast to Dulles Layton. And that's the entire section of M&S Lane. There's a name on the record that shows County Road 336 for a portion of it, the western portion, and then Opiola Road in some cases too. So what we are proposing and what our motion will be, well actually what we're considering tonight is abandoning the approximately western half originating at Vineyards Creek, and going to a point where a parcel owned by Mr. Brad Smith and actually I should probably read this. Basically, it terminates 150 feet, which is our requirement. We must allow 150 feet of road access to a parcel of land to enable them to be able to legally subdivide, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're looking to abandon that portion that comes off of Vineyard Creek to within 150 feet. And I'm just going to go to the verbiage here, it'll be a little easier and make it clear.
I wrote it, so maybe not.
It's on the resolution.
Yeah, here it is, and I have it here somewhere. First page. So here's the description, just to be real clear on this one. The portion of County Road 336, also known as M&S Lane, which begins at the intersection of M&S Lane with Vineyard Creek Church Road and runs thence in a northeasterly direction to a point located 150 feet southwest of the northeasternmost point of road frontage of parcel ID 0102009. And again, we have maps here for those that have property on this road. I'm sure they're very familiar with the location and what portions we're talking about. And if not, we'll certainly take time to clarify. But at this point, I would ask if there's anybody here that would like to speak with respect to abandoning this particular portion of the M&S Lane. Feel free to do so. Anybody that'd like to speak about the county abandoning this?
My name is Karen Welchel, and this is my husband Lee Welchel, and we own the 53 acres on the Vineyard Creek end of that road. We've been working since we were 16 years old, sometimes many as 3 jobs apiece to save the money to buy this land. I've lived in Madison County half of my life, and I have been a taxpayer, and I do not understand why this road would be, not only, it hasn't been maintained since the flood that washed out that bridge right past our property, and that's 41 years ago that I know it has not been maintained. There are 41-year-old trees that are in a gully over my head that this road turns into basically a path through the woods. And if it's going to take over $100,000 of our taxpayers' money to open this lane that is so narrow that you have to cut the trees off the side of the road to keep it from scratching your vehicle, to make it 2 lanes, you right-of-ways, put in a bridge that won't wash away for just a couple of people that live on that road. And we don't want to hurt anybody. We're good, law-abiding citizens, and we don't want to landlock anybody. And according to Mr. Scarborough, they have a plan to keep that from happening. We don't want to landlock anybody. But this little piece of road, 3/4 of the way down our property, as you drive through our property, there's nothing there. And it's really unnerving at night when we're sitting on the dock on the weekends past midnight. It's dark. There's nothing down through there. The road goes nowhere. It's never even had a road sign since I've been in Madison County. So you don't even realize it's a road. And why in the world with vehicles, you hear them come down through there after midnight? There's nothing in this world that anything good somebody would be doing driving down in there. And I just think that the money could be spent well somewhere else in the county. We have roads that you can hardly see the white lines on in that area, that the money could be spent for that. There's plenty of dirt roads that dozens of people that live on that could be spent on. And we're just asking that it be closed on our end. I know that there's a couple here tonight that people come down in there and they poach. And there was one occasion where our neighbor, our previous neighbor that owns the land next to us that splits this road. My husband was hunting on our land and heard somebody screaming, and it was he went to them, and it was a lady whose family dog of many, many years had been shot. She was walking on her property, on her trail, and poachers had accessed this road on through our property to gain access to this man's property, and had shot her dog right in front of her. It could have been her. So it's nothing good that's going to come to that road being open. And I just ask y'all, if it was your mother, sister, or child that was in our position at home alone, if you're outside and you're able to hear somebody driving down that road, if you get the police, we've had to call police for cars parked on that road, nobody around, and we had to go meet them at the main road because not even they knew where the road was. If they got there in time and these people was in their car parked on that road, there's nothing legally they can do because it's legally an open road. So I just ask that y'all search your hearts and please let that. I've got pictures too of the tires and trash.
I picked up 80 track and trailer tires that somebody come out and dumped. Didn't ever call the county or anything to come and move them. I went in there myself. It's just an ongoing problem. And we just want to close it off and you know.
One of the pictures on there is where it turned 3/4 of the way through our property. The water has washed out so severely this road that you have to manipulate your vehicle to keep from bottoming out. And then from there, you'll see where it ends to a walking path through the woods. You couldn't get a car down through there for as far as you could see. And I know we've taken up enough time, but thank you.
Thank you. We'll get these pictures back to you here. So everybody else will want to speak about M&S Lane.
Hello, I'm Beth Harmon, and my mother is here with me. Her name is Norma Toad. She owns property that also backs up behind their property is behind the church. We're next to the church. But it extends 25 acres back through there, which backs up M&S Lane. And I agree with the Welchels on closing that road. As you know, I was in code enforcement. I've been down that road, tires dumped everywhere. It's not maintained. It's very narrow. And also, I live out there too. I know people are back there. I don't know how they get back there. They don't go through my property, my mother's property, my uncle's property. They're going down that little road. She lives alone. A lot of times I'm not there. I'm not fond of people running around on our property. And also the poaching, deer hunting, I hear shots. It's not us. My cousin, who was up the road from us, had some cameras stolen off the property. My mother's is here, the church, the Welchels, the church. My mother's, I'm here, and they get back. My uncle has 50 acres here. Cousin, he has access to hunting. Cameras have been stolen. They're trying to steal a utility building. Luckily, I caught them that time. But I agree with the Welchels. It's not maintained. It's a dumping ground. It's a haven for poachers. It's a haven for drug users. And I just agree with the Welchels. Thank you.
It backs, am I allowed to ask?
No, if you need to play, I'm just looking at the location of your property.
The Welchels ends where the Bingers Creek Church is.
Uh-huh.
Next to it. Have you got the plat?
We do.
I can show you.
So here's the Welchels, this,
Okay.
and this, and then there's the church right here.
There's the church. This is my mother's.
Okay.
No, that's not mine. This is the church. This is the church.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. This is Collinswood.
See, this is Vineyard Creek. And this is
where that comes off.
That's right.
Right.
Okay.
Might be easier to see on this, this is blown up a little bit, there's the well.
Right here.
Yeah.
We're here. We're right here.
Okay.
This is right here. And down here, I mean, we're right here, we're right here. We back up around here. And this area here, and it goes all the way down, almost to, yeah, we go almost all the way up to the bottom place. Yeah, this is good. Okay, my mother's lived out there for 31 years, and she was raised here. So, I hear things at night that shouldn't be normal. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak, Mr. Strickland?
I just want to ask some questions, because one of my very friends lives on EMS Springs, but he comes in from 172 and all that. Is that old, condemned all road all the way through there to 172?
I don't think you can
Access it, I don't think we can access it from 176.
Right, I don't think you can access it.
Because I came in, when I visited the other day, I came off of,
Indian Creek.
Indian Creek, right here.
And they're talking about abandoning this portion right here.
I don't show 172.
It's not, it doesn't abut 172 at all.
I know that, but I don't, anyway, we were just trying to figure out, because it don't come all the way through. Because another man went up on that end, went down there and blocked it off, so he couldn't get to his place, so he had to go get the authorities come down there and make an open up, so he could get to his property.
Yeah.
And he built him a nice house down there, but,
Right.
thank you.
Sure. Anybody else?
I got one, Brett.
That right there is a tract of my property that joins them and has a claim. Noting the part, that's how you can see the part, the bars is a shaded area. That's a survey that I had done recently from a timber company, and it shows that part of my property is on the Vineyards Creek side of the creek. Now, my property is split by the creek right there on that side. I appreciate John, Chris, Tom, and the rest of you that I have met with on this, talking to you. You know, I'm a lifelong citizen of Madison County as well. You know, I'm graduated from Madison County. My kids, half of them so far have. Hopefully the other half will. In 1990, I bought approximately I was 20, I bought about 46 acres there on County Road 336, and my plan at that time was to build a house, divide the land from myself, my family, my children, and I was going to cut off my brother 5 acres, and about 2,000, just to get started with the process. I went to planning and zoning. You know, it come into question whether or not it was a county road or whether it wasn't a county road. So for 4 years, and many of these meetings right here, I attended until approximately in 2004, they voted and agreed, yes, it is a county road. And agreed to maintain it at that time. You know, it took me 4 years during that process. I personally got the easements, the right-of-ways. Like I say, the form for the easements, I got at one of the board meetings and done it myself. And they're right. The citizens that spoke on that, on the condition of that road are perfectly right. And my side that I have to use is not in very much better shape. And it's a shame. To their question, where would somebody more than likely dump trash if you can't stop somebody who is? They gonna go down a road that looks like it's abandoned, or they gonna go down a road that's maintained that looks like it's a county road, where cops can get through? They're more than likely gonna do it on a road that looks abandoned, not one that looks county maintained. You know, I sort of spoke with, to John and Tripp, sort of halfway in agreement that, you know, the possibility of closing part of it, but it does leave me landlocked without me building a bridge or a culvert to access the tract or the corner that you can see on the map that I provided you with there. I have fought for years on this, and why every time there's a new commissioner, I'm up here again, you know? I'm to the point now, I've got a daughter, I got a grandchild, I'm about to the point again of wanting to divide my land, build me a house. They're wanting to build a house. For about the past 2 years, I've called Alan Lipinski, trying to get something done, and, you know, it's sort of, nothing's happened, as far as maintaining the road, taking care of the road. I personally have bush hogged the ditches. I personally got that tree up that if any of you went down there and seen the property, was removed out of the road. Abandoning the road would also decrease the value of my property. As to the other landowners, you know, I bought that land when I was 20 in 1990. How long I've had the property. And I've got, I can sit right here and bring up in my phone, because I got the answer today, how many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars I paid this county in taxes. And my truck's in the shop, so today I can't go down there because of the condition of the road. And that's my side and the other side. I'm not in favor of closing the road. I would like to see the culvert put back in. I'd like to see the road maintained to a point where they haven't got to worry about somebody going down there and parking, because they can call the law and they can come through and ride through the road and check. I know that the road does go close to a pond that they got built, but that pond was built by a previous landowner, not by them. And before he built the pond, and after the pond's been built, I've still been paying taxes on the property. And I don't want to see the road closed. I'd like to see the culvert put back in. I'd like to see the road maintained. And, you know, my question also is, you know, I would like to get some sort of answer as to when something's going to be done. I mean, like I say, I have paid for gravel on what's going to be my driveway coming off of M&S Lane. The dump truck that I hired after he unloaded the gravel on my part got stuck in the county road because of lack of maintenance, you know. And it is rough. But it ain't been rough because I haven't been trying to get it maintained. It's was a county road, to my understanding, in 1990, and that when I bought the property that I'd have a road there. And I'm not good at math, however many years later this is now, I'm still right here today, trying to get the road taken care of, trying to get culvert put back in. It was promised to me by the administration that voted to accept and take it up as a county road. Wesley Nash and was chairman at that time, and I can't name all the commissioners because I think I'm changed over the years that I've been working on this and trying to get it done. As none of you, I think, were even in as long as I've been working on this. And I would like to see the road maintained. I'd like to see it taken back up as a county road. I'm against abandonment, and I'm against any portion, really, of the abandonment. You know, I'd like to have the road maintained and something done about it.
Okay. Fred, are you planning to build more houses on your property?
Well, yeah, I've got 4 kids in Macon. I mean, I've got 46 acres, so land-wise, that should be plenty.
I know y'all are.
Ordinances in the county, you know, are restricting that somewhat, and, but as it stands, you know, I possibly can do it if, I would like to have the county road frontage on the other side of the creek where I can access that track that is, cut off right there, because that is, if you will pull it up with a topographical map, that is the location that's above the floodplain that's suitable for building. But I would either have to put in a bridge, or I would have to do something.
I know a few years ago, y'all were promised by the board or the chairman to put a pipe in there and maintain that road when Mr. Mahaffey was owned, I think, about 70 acres there.
That's right.
And he was planning a subdivision in there, and they were promised to maintain the road and put a pipe back in that. Mr. Chairman, do you have any idea what size pipe it would take to accommodate that?
It won't be done with a pipe, it'll be a little box culvert. You're right with the terminology, because the span of that creek is
6-foot pipe wouldn't...
Not even close, not on that. Hey, also, part of my conversation prior to DOT was to determine what requirements that we have to satisfy when we install a bridge and everything. It must meet DOT standards for that too, so it's not really just the county being able to say what it has to be. It has to have a certain clearance above the water. I just know that the last one that the county put in over on, oh my goodness, it's off of Powell Freeman Road, Johnson. Anyway, it's approximately $100,000. That was the value that's quoted earlier. So. Yeah, Johnson's Bridges. Yeah. So.
When Hannah's Creek Bridge washed away, Frank Gann went over to oversee that, and I think that was 2 pipes put in there. That's a big creek.
Right. Yeah, I just know that you make the reference that it got washed out once before by flood. I mean, it's going to be the water will churn, and then it's channeled down through there, and it'll erode around that pipe. And again, I'm going with you know, we asked for some assistance with DOT on this too, just for some numbers and everything.
Right, and in accordance with that, you know, I don't want you to take no offense at all.
You're not going to offend, I promise you.
You know, the current administration has spent that on it.
Yeah. And you know what? You're 100% right on that. And I couldn't tell you until I discovered M&S Lane. I couldn't even told you that it was a county road either. I knew. But when we went down there and everything, this again was one of those roads that we looked to see what was serviced by that road, and you are the only consideration, to be honest with you. I mean, if it had access to the south, I would have probably recommended that we do close the whole thing, but we can't, and we know we can't because it does service your property, and we're not going to. And as far as maintaining the portion that remains open, if some were to be abandoned, that other absolutely is going to be maintained. And I'm sure with you, I was down on that property today, and it's in super bad shape. But it doesn't cross the creek. That's the saving grace as far as the expense. I'm looking at total cost of the county. You have you have your desire, your interest in it, which all are, they all bear merit. I can't argue a lot of it. I just also have to weigh that against the cost of maintaining a portion that really doesn't service anything that the other side wouldn't.
Yeah, and so, with that being said, yours, you know, Anthony personally, he went and looked it up, and he did, work the road, I'll call it working the road. So did Wesley. And the years before that, before I tried to cut it out, you know, all the way back to Garnet Boots work, when he was working for the county, worked that road. And in that time, it's been a county road. And in that time, there's no culvert bridge that's been put in.
Right.
So whether the money's spent today, whether it's 100 or 200,000, or it's spent next year, and the next administration, closing it right now during yours is not necessarily going to benefit the citizens.
How much we talking about cost? If we put the culvert back in and redid the road back to...
And I don't have a cost on the road. I can tell you that the culvert itself is approximately $100,000.
Am I correct to say that this road, that portion has been closed since 1977? Is that correct? Basically.
It's been cut off since then.
Okay, so 41 years.
What, you're talking about the side from Vineyard Creek?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can say it's been closed, but when I first bought the property, I used that road often to access that corner. You know, I drove down that side twice in the last 2 weeks, all the way to within about 80 to 100 foot of the creek on that side. There is some trash there.
I rode it the other day with somebody.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, Brett. If we were not able financially to handle that other side, if we had to close that side, have you got banks that you could put a small bridge in on your side to get over? I mean, is it?
Well, I mean,
because I'm saying you wouldn't have to follow DOT standards.
Yeah.
It may cost a couple $1,000 or something to do it.
And,
power poles or whatever.
Depending on how y'all vote, that may be what I have to do.
Well, what I'm saying is,
$400,000 bridge.
they were promised, a few years back to maintain the road and put a bridge in. And there's no urgent rush to get the bridge in now. What I'm saying, we can maintain the road down to Brett's property, and when the money's available, put a culvert in there. And I think, I talked to Frank again, and he said about 70,000 on a box culvert.
That's not what I got from DOT or
That's what he, Frank, was overseer on the bridge on Hannah's Creek.
Well, the last one that we put in was right at 100, and I know that's on Johnson's Bridge Road, and that's the information I'm going off of, so.
Well, there's twice as many people that want to leave the road open as there is want to close it.
I agree with that. If you want it, I would prefer if, before you would vote to abandon it, that you would vote to let each side get a petition started.
Well, I just want to address one other thing here too. Everybody was notified about the pending measure and everything with property owners. I can't speak to the non-property owners that have weighed in on it and folks, y'all just hold this thing. All I can talk to is the property owners that have land that is abutting that. That's the ones that we have a legal obligation to, period. There's a lot of ways that I like to cut through, and I'm not going to make excuses, and I'm going to try to say any better than that. I'm just saying, I have to also weigh that against the cost of the county. If you leave it open, does it leave it liable for anything that happens on a county-maintained road that's not being maintained? That's the other issue I have. You're 100% right, it should have already been addressed. I can't go back and fix yesterday. All I know is what I'm faced with and what I'm made aware of, and that's the issue here that I think that we have to address. And it's not, and as I told you earlier, to me, if I could do it, if the county had the resources be talking about this. We just wouldn't be. It's a matter of doing one instead of the other, though, and that's where, I'm having to look at, and the reason it was even, presented is how many, what does it affect and how many people does it affect? And, I don't want to, I really don't want to deprive you of any access or any right to your property, and that's why I'm saying, this road frontage that still remains and everything does give you access. That road that traverses north-south next to your property, if it's not all on your property, it's gotta be mostly on your property according to the marker. And, so I know there's that, but the issue of non-maintenance on it, that's on us. And I won't argue that. And, we'll have to make that right.
Abandoned or not, that needs to be moved up on the road list.
Yeah.
High priority,
Yeah.
that portion at least.
Well, can we maintain the road down to the bridge, and when the money's available, then put the bridge in?
I voted not to. But it'll depend on us. And the reason is because the terrain shortly, and the reason, it's not an arbitrary number. For those of you who haven't been down on the property, I encourage you to travel the property. The terrain, as it approaches that creek, is a very steep grade. The banks on either side of that road, as it abuts Brett's property, is at points 15, at least 15 feet high on either side. So, it's a natural waterway right now too. You know, if it rains, it's gonna channel water down there to the creek. And I'm just, I don't have a good solution, you know, and I don't wanna argue with you, because I don't think you're wrong. I know what you're passionate about, what you want, and I respect everything about that. I'm weighing the cost here, and that's what drove this. That's all.
And not maintaining the road is the county's fault. It's none of their fault that the county dropped the ball in maintaining the road.
I agree. And I can say it 5 more times, but it's not gonna mean any more than I do agree with you. And the best that I can offer you now is to get out there and have some work on it. That's where we are.
All right, well, I appreciate your time. You know how I feel and what my desires are.
I do. I respect
there's
that.
more that feel the same way that are willing to get up and speak.
I appreciate it. I do. Thank you for your time.
This is what I came to speak about, really. Carol Smith again. The road has always been a county road. You were talking about abandoned for 40-something years? I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
Close. But when he bought the land, he graduated from college and bought that land with plans for the future. He drove a raggedy old truck for years so he could pay for that land. Had that land been, when Wesley got in here and he got ready to build that stuff, and he found out all the things that needed to be done, and the commissioners wouldn't do anything, he hired an attorney, got a deed form, used your deed, and had it signed. That wasn't good enough, had to come back and get Wesley's form, took it to the people himself, the people that gave the right-of-way, and had it signed and notarized, gave it to the county, here's your easement, blah, blah. It's always supposed to have been a county road, all of it. Had it been maintained all these years, and I know it's not your fault, I know you just came in, there would be more people down there, because my other son would have a house down there, so he would have a say. I probably would have a house down there instead of 2 miles up the road, because I bought this land because I couldn't get in down there right at that time. So there would be more people that would come up here and speak, had it been done the way it was promised to be done. So I suggest, like Mr. Pencil says, that you maintain it to the bridge. Don't abandon it, and we'll agree, you're going to keep it to the bridge, but at some time in the future, when the county can afford it, that you will go back in there, it will be on your priority. Maybe you'll get a grant, maybe you can ask for a grant, maybe there's grants out there. And you will put that on there, and then you will finish the road, but that you will not abandon it. Why do you have to abandon it? We will agree, make up an agreement. You're gonna keep it maintained so far down there. And as far as, you know, I live by myself too, and I have to pick up trash out of my yard, and I live 2 miles up the road. I mean, you don't have any control over where people dump trash or tires. I mean, I have picked up tires out of my yard, you know, and I understand the wealth of concern, because I stay in my yard picking up trash and limbs and stuff all the time, you know. That's just maintaining property, right? I'm sure all of you do it. That's how you maintain your property. You keep stuff picked up. So and had it been done like it was supposed to be, you might have the money, because there have been taxes from different people on different land down there. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have been paying for this taxes on this. Maybe I've been paying taxes down there, and somebody else would have been paying here. So I just think there ought to be something, because he's paid dearly forever for this, and I don't think just because there's just one of him right now, and there's 3 or 4 others around him, I don't think it's fair to just kick him to the side of the road, so to speak, because the county don't have the money. There ought to be some way around it, because I've been a citizen my whole life, and that's 70 years, and I have paid property taxes, and they went up sky high this year too, as everybody knows. So I paid additional. And so I just think there ought to be some way. So we went through Wesley, then we went through Anthony, and now here you are. There ought to be some way that you guys can make a promise to keep it a county road, and not make him have to keep doing this every time a new commissioner gets voted in. You have no idea how much time and money and effort he has put in this. A lot. And how many young men do you know that buy land first before a brand new truck? It meant a lot to him. And it's just unfair to punish him.
And just to reiterate my point, this is certainly not intended, that's...
I know it's not a personal intention, I know it's not, but there ought to be something that you can do.
And if I could think of it, if anybody else can...
Maybe he can come up with some kind of an agreement or something. He ought to be able to find some kind of law. There's got to be a law out there.
Well, actually kind of this...
I mean, I've been working for lawyers for 45 years. I know there's a way to get around everything.
And let me personally give you my condolences on that.
I know that we receive state money too, and we're not doing what we're supposed to do with it, and that requires action one way or the other though. So I've got to do something with it though, because we are paid by the state right now for the maintenance on that road. And again, I'm not going to try to talk around why it hasn't been done. Anytime I've done, as any road has been brought to me, there are other people that have private drives that have been maintained, that are no longer maintained, and I hear about that all the time too.
Well, I own a road now that I own half of it, and my neighbor owns half of it, and we have to keep it maintained.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's fine,
drive,
you know? Yeah, private drive. Even, I mean, you know, there ought to be something you could do.
Okay. Well,
without abandoning that road again.
Ma'am, I didn't catch your name.
Carolyn Smith, I'm Brett's mother.
Okay.
No, thank you. All right, anybody else?
I'll try to be brief. I really had no intentions of speaking to you this evening. My name is Vicki Kilpatrick, and I've been helping Brett prepare for this meeting this evening. And a couple of things that stood out to me. First of all, I agree with Commissioner Peddle about not abandoning that section of the road. There's got to be other alternatives, and at the very least, I would hope that you guys would continue to discuss this topic and not vote on it tonight, and get some actual dollar figures of what it would take to put in the culvert required to meet DOT standards. I think having all the facts before you make a decision would be fair to everybody involved. and you speak about the lack of people that reside down there, and that's true, and Carolyn made a very good point about the reason that it's not any more populated down there was because the county failed the citizens. And you will continue to fail them if you abandon it, because Brett has a large family, and so there could potentially be 5 residences down there, 5 families that could raise their children and attend schools and pay taxes. So I think that that should be a consideration before you vote to abandon County Road 336.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else? I have to limit you now here, so anybody else? No, normally, I think you've already...
I just want to ask a question to make sure that I'm clear.
Real quick.
If he is if you abandon the side from the creek on our side, and did you say that you were giving him enough road frontage to be able to get the loans to split in his property?
150 feet grants him access that is required for him to be able to subdivide that piece of property.
I just wanted to make sure I had that clear, so he would be able to do that in half his house.
Right. We had initially said 100 feet, and it's changed it to 150 to accommodate that, but, so. Any other comments? All right, we're gonna close the public hearing, and, we'll go ahead and bring this back for consideration. We may end up having to do this individually. We had a resolution prepared, but I don't think we're gonna get a consent on that. But, right. We can edit it. Okay. I'll entertain a motion from the board, though, on, you can address all 3, or you can address them individually, your preference, but the motion would be to consider abandonment of Cane Road, or Cane Road and Hill Morris.
We've already voted on the first 2.
Voted on the first 2.
Yeah.
We have, I'm sorry.
Right.
So this is just for us, I'm sorry. Yeah, we voted on the first 2, the M&S one and the last one. We'll go ahead and entertain a motion on the abandonment of M&S Lane as it was presented from Vineyards Creek intersection up to a point of 150 miles southwest of the property.
150 miles.
150 feet. Sorry, boy, that's not...
Make sure everybody's listening.
I got it, yeah, I was just checking. 150 feet, short of the northeasternmost corner of the property. And, so that's the motion, and, you can make a motion a second, discuss it, whatever your pleasure is. I'll entertain whatever.
I'd like to make a motion that we postpone this, like the lady asked for Brett. If he's got some other information that he could bring to us, postpone it until the next meeting.
I have a motion to postpone the vote. Is there a second to that?
Why not?
Is that a second?
That's the second one, why not?
I have a second. Is there any discussion on this?
And I guess that would be for us to do homework on our end too, to get the exact dollar figure.
Yeah, well, that's open-ended. All I heard was a motion to postpone. I don't hear any, that wasn't part of that, and, but, I have a motion to postpone and a second to postpone, and, we'll entertain any discussion that you might have.
Until next meeting being March 5th?
No. Are we gonna do this just for one meeting, or are you gonna postpone and then reset it on the agenda?
Let's go at least a month.
At least 30 days.
Is there any particular reason for that?
That'll get, the last meeting in March.
March 25th.
Yeah.
Okay. So the motion is postponed until the
last meeting.
Last meeting, I believe that would be March 26th. And you still have a second on that, Commissioner Scott? No second on that. Any other discussion? Okay, the vote goes to Commissioner Eastco.
Yes.
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 All right, so we have, at this point, abandoned King Road, Hill Morris Road, and we have postponed, any discussion on M&S Lane,
until that date is correct.
That's correct, and Mr. Chairman, if we could get, also approval of that, what the chairman was referring to is this formal resolution contains not only the abandonment that you voted to do, but also authorizes the chairman and the clerk to issue deeds to those adjoining landowners on Kane and Hill Morris Road. So, if you would, I would suggest that we just strike number 3, strike everything about M&S Lane from that resolution, and then adopt it for just Kane and Hill Morris Road, so they can go ahead and do those deeds.
Okay. So, this will require another motion. I need a motion then to approve the resolution to abandon and dispose of roadway to include County Road 3, also known as King Road, and County Road 269, also known as Hill Morris Road. Just those two. We will delete as you have the resolution in front of you, it will stop from its intersection with Farm Road to its intersection with Arnold Bottoms Road, as shown on the official tax maps of Madison County. But,
right. Yeah, and we could just delete reference to the sketches too, because we don't need that for the, we don't need the sketches for those 2 roads.
There we go. Tax maps of Madison County,
So made, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there any comment or discussion on that?
Then we just charge tax on those roads that they're abandoning.
Yeah, you'll make sure that happens, yeah. Any other discussion on that? For the resolution, approve the resolution. 2 roads, King and Hill Morris. If there's none, the vote is to, Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
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 All right, so we have that, all right. All right, folks, if, those that want to stay for the next portion or the remaining, feel free if you'd like to put up now is a good point too, though. We're going to move on to item number 6, which is to consider bids for a next generation 911 call taking system. So, hang on a second, let's give them a second to, okay. I appreciate your patience, folks. All right. So, when we conducted or went through our budgeting process, we have several items. One is to consider a replacement system for our 911 system, our call-taking system. It is a legacy system. It has a lot of parts and components that are becoming difficult, if not impossible, to replace and find. And then we also have a compliance issue with being next-gen compliant. They haven't established the date, but that is coming down. That will probably be within the next year or 2. So as we look to replace the system, we want to make sure we have a system that is going to be compliant. It was budgeted for. We have the bidding process. Everything is complete. We have 5 bids that are part of a package. They're part of the package. These are a breakdown of those bids. And the only item that when we budgeted for it, we talked about the system, but we didn't talk about maintenance. We were currently paying maintenance on our existing system. We just didn't consider the increase in the cost to maintain a new system. So that, I'm gonna turn it over to our 911 Director, David Kemp, and let him present a little bit about the bids, the process he used, and his recommendation to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We decided in November of last year to go ahead and put out an RFP for a new phone system. It's called a call-taking system, but it's a phone system is what it is, in the 911 center. We put that out on November the 24th, and we released we had a pre-proposal meeting, a conference meeting, where we required the vendors to come to, representative to come to that meeting. Because we were seeking serious vendors. We didn't want, a lot of people just surf the internet to find bids, and then they'll throw a bid out there, and you don't know who you're dealing with, and so we wanted them to come on site. We had a representation of several different companies. We said we wanted the proposals by December 22nd. On December the 22nd, Rhonda and I opened the bids from 5 different companies. Those companies you see listed here are Zerker Technologies, Westel International, Frontier, RPSS, which stands for Ryan Public Safety Systems, and GeoConnects Corporation. Since we only had 5 companies, we decided, instead of trying to shortlist this, let's just go ahead and bring all 5 in for demos, and that's what we did. All 5 of them came in and gave us a demonstration of their equipment. During that time, we were taking notes. We got together. Thomas Smallwood, who is currently IT, serving the county for IT services. We got together and talked about it, decided that Franklin County, Georgia, has the Westel system in place. Elbert County, Georgia, has the Frontier system, the Solacom system, which was being sold by Frontier and RPSS. So we went up to Franklin County, we talked to the dispatchers about how they liked the system. Then we went over to Elbert County and did the same thing. Both systems were great. So we got back together and we started talking about the demos and the on-site visits, and we decided, what do we want this system to do? And we went through and listed all of that, and Westel basically came out on top as the company that will provide us going forward with what we want done with a call-taking system. A lot of these other companies, or all of these other companies, after a 3 to 5 year period, are going to go through what is called a hardware refresh. They'll come in and say, well, you need to buy all new servers, you need to buy new equipment in order to update the system. Westel is different. Their business model is different in the sense that if you continue to pay the maintenance, any upgrades to the system are done at no charge to the county. So going out 5 years, we don't have to do that hardware refresh. If there is a hardware refresh involved, that's already paid for, as long as we continue to pay maintenance. And that covers any component of the system. If anything goes down, they will replace it free of charge. So I would recommend to you tonight that we accept the bid by Westel International.
Have you considered the maintenance on the 5 years, the difference in the cost of the maintenance on the 2 companies?
On which 2 companies?
One is, well, it starts at $15,579, and the Westel starts at $21,600.
Yes, sir. The first year on the Zerker Technologies is what you're looking at, and the first year their maintenance is included in the payment. But going out on that second year, the county would be paying out $35,000. The next year, $52,000, and it only goes up from there.
The technologies company doesn't charge anything the first year for maintenance.
Who doesn't?
Technologies company.
Zerker. Yes, sir, they charge, but it rolls into the
starts with year 2 on this.
Right.
But it's rolled into the price. You can
Right.
see the difference in price.
Right, that's the difference in the price, what I'm saying, but, okay.
Let me ask David, how come there's so much maintenance on new equipment? What do they do maintenance-wise?
Well, you gotta understand that this is when I say it's a call-taking system, it's a phone system. A phone system in a 911 center is vastly different from the phone center in this courthouse. We have to be able to accept Annie, Allie,
which Andy is automatic number identification, Ally is automatic location identification. We have to be able to bring that data in and display it in front of dispatchers. If it's a wireless call, we have to be able to track where that call is coming from.
What I'm asking you is, why is there so much maintenance on a system? It's supposed to be a good system.
Well, that's...
Is it software? Or?
It's software and hardware, yes, sir.
What wears out about it?
Do what?
What wears out about it? Maintenance?
Well, in any computer system, you know, the main enemy of electronics is heat. And a computer is just like, you have hard drives in there spinning, you have power supplies that are creating heat. So those are the kind of things that wear out about it.
They actually, under maintenance, they actually come and replace parts. I guess some of it's labor, but
Yeah,
some of it's parts.
Yes, some of it's labor, some of it's parts. I mean, that's
not something you can do on a as-needed basis.
Well, it looks like all of them have it.
Yeah, all of them have it.
You know,
Let's say if something didn't wear out, or didn't need replacing, you would take it.
I wouldn't want to trust a 911 system to an as-needed basis. I just wouldn't want to do that.
It's part of that maintenance too, Mr. Kelly. It's part of that maintenance as well. Part of this,
just make.
you know, it's just it's you're cleaning, you're dusting, you're taking it, whatever you gotta do inside, you're taking it apart, you're going through it.
And there's one added feature though that he mentioned though, that at least Westel rolls in any upgrades or any mandated, compliance, standards. What's the organization?
National Emergency Number Association, or NENA, are the ones that are developing the standards for next generation 911. And those standards it's a work in progress right now. As those standards are developed, anything that we would require to meet that standard, Westel will provide that free of charge.
What I was trying to say, and I know it says maintenance on there, but it's not talking about parts and labor, it's not just that.
No,
It's keeping the machine going.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
so, and you can, will this allow text messages to come in?
Yes, sir, it will allow text messaging. At the current time, we have opted not to receive text.
Okay.
Simply because, we discourage people from texting 911. We know it's out there, and millennials are gonna start doing that.
Right.
But the adage is, text if you must, but call if you can.
So is that a feature you can add down the road?
It's a feature that can be added down the road. Yes, it's in the software. All we have to do is turn it on.
This is a system that you can grow.
Yes, it's designed to grow with next generation 911, yes.
I say motion to go with Westel International.
Okay, and the one thing, and just so we're all clear, each one of these has offered, their bid was broken down into a 5-year plan. They, you know, so that we weren't paying for all of it up front. And with that goes obviously a finance, option. They're all competitive, but I would recommend that the motion be to purchase whichever you want, contingent upon an acceptable finance arrangement though. So, that, I don't think any of them are really, they'll negotiate, and they've given us preliminary numbers, but I think in earnest, as with any deal, until you've selected, you don't really have the position that you would if you've committed, or you've let them know that we'll do it if the rate is right and all that. So I have a motion to purchase, if that's okay, contingent upon an acceptable finance arrangement. Is that?
Money's in the budget for this.
What we did is we set aside money in the budget. We did not set aside enough, and again, there is maintenance that we currently pay that also would go to offset the maintenance on this. The total cost per year above what we budgeted is, I wrote it down.
Are you talking about maintenance?
Well, there's a little bit of cost in the best and final offer that you see there. In addition to the increased maintenance, you're looking at approximately $13,000 per year for the first 5 years. After the first 5 years, the equipment cost comes off of that, and it's maintenance only at that point.
I just, if it's brought to us that our equipment is old and it is failing and there's no replacement parts, and if it goes down, those calls don't go through, therefore lives
Right, it's just public safety.
are set at risk. This is a liability to us at this point.
The system we have now has been in place for years. The manufacturer no longer supports it. It's no longer in business. W Communications services it, and they have some spare parts. But when those parts are gone, then yes, they're gone.
And
The
much like,
dispatchers have done a wonderful job with the equipment that they have.
We're in discussion, Gary.
yeah, we are.
Good. What's the discussion?
Yeah, we had a motion in the first, or motion in the second.
It's all fine and good, we make a motion contingent on something,
Right.
but who decides what contingent is right or not?
Well,
I think this board needs to know exact dollars that we spend.
well, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, there would be a subsequent vote to approve that. It's not gonna happen without coming before the board.
Didn't say that, but
Well,
did y'all hear me say that?
contingent upon an acceptable means some sort of an offer and acceptance.
Acceptable by who's what I'm asking.
I think this board, you will, they will present a finance arrangement or an option. Let's just, for the sake of simplicity, they've offered a rate, and we know roughly what we're looking at, but upon selection, that is not their best and final rate. That's what it comes down to. So I know it won't be
Why am I
more,
looking at that rate tonight and voting on an exact figure?
because I don't have their lowest rate. All I have is the one that they guaranteed, but if we go back to them, we have an opportunity to negotiate a lower rate. Over 5 years at that amount, it can save you thousands. So I'd be willing to wait a month to vote on it if I think it would be prudent to do that, unless I'm missing something. I don't know. The price is not gonna change. They're good with holding the price, and we have a no greater than right now rate, but we might be able to improve that if we let them know, and I think this is gonna be the same with any of them. It's not just this one. That's why I said that any motion you make would be contingent upon an acceptable finance arrangement.
Well, I'm just asking acceptable by who? Us, you?
Mr. Easter, based on, if I may, Mr. Chairman, if you want to, why don't you make a substitute motion to authorize the chairman to negotiate with, I forgot the name of this company, Westel, and bring back their best proposal to the board for consideration.
Including the interest rate.
Yes, sir.
And I'd be happy to do that through Mr. Camp. We're gonna do it. I'll present it, whatever it comes back, but I'd be happy to do that. That's, and pardon my ignorance for not wording it that way.
So I just don't see this board voting on an unknown figure.
Right.
To be appreciated by an unknown person. All right,
Is that good?
let's do the motion. As stated, County Attorney. Say it again.
Authorize the chairman to negotiate with Westel and bring back their total package, including financing, for board consideration.
Second.
Let me ask David one more question. David, did you run the numbers on the initial cost of those two and consider maintenance for 4 years on the top one and 5 years on Westel? When Westel is 21,600, and the other one starts at 15,579, and in 4 years it goes to 18,000. Would it be less to go with the technologies, considering the maintenance for 5 years rather than 4 years?
These companies won't talk to you about maintenance past 5 years, because at that 5-year point is when they're gonna be talking about hardware refresh. In other words, they're not going to offer a maintenance on a computer that 5 years from now, it's gonna have to be replaced.
Well, the best and final offer is almost
No,
$32,000 more for that company. So in the long run, that's looking low.
So, if I understand the question right now too, the total cost, if we just project out 5 years, total cost on Zerker, Westel, Vontier, RPSS, and GeoConnect, they're all within, Westel was 233,000 over 5 years, the projected cost. And I believe Zerker might have been 231, and I don't have a calculator. So
That's what I was asking.
I would do it, but I think we did run the numbers on that.
Yes, we ran the numbers on it. The reality is, they're gonna come in and replace all that hardware.
Right, and the only one that doesn't want to do that, the only one that is not, planning to do that is Westel, and that was I believe, what his appeal was there.
Yes, and Westel says if they do have to replace their equipment, it won't cost the county anything, providing we continue to pay the maintenance.
Okay, so we have a motion to allow the chairman to negotiate best deal, best price, best rate with Westel and present that for vote, is that correct? Is everybody okay with that? All right, any other discussion on that?
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you. Not really, but if you want to clean it up, Mr.
I make a motion, or to
No, just withdraw your motion.
Sorry. Withdraw my motion. I'll have to do that very often.
Okay, all right, we're gonna get through this, okay. Item number 7, consider nonpartisan elections. Okay, so we've moved, public comments, and, I'll, yield for to Commissioner Eastco if you'd like to start the discussion here, or. Yeah.
Hey, I've been sitting up here 7 years and too much trucking, but I've been sitting up there in those seats probably that many years, so it comes up all the time. Different people bring it up. Somebody talks about it, nothing's ever done about it. So I figured, well, I thought Lee was gonna bring it up because Lee really said, he would, but he didn't do it, so I brought it up. Let me read this 2 paragraphs. The subject of nonpartisan election primaries, y'all excuse me, but I've been to the doctor all afternoon, and he gave me some shots. I don't know what it was. The subject of nonpartisan election primaries comes up from time to time. There is very little discussion and no resolutions. I have been asked by several people in Madison County why I was this. Since I don't consider myself a real politician, I guess I'm the logical person to make an agenda item for the commissioners to answer. Now, I struck out a bunch and I say, I asked the county attorney to research this question of nonpartisan primaries in Madison County. Late Friday afternoon, he completed his research. I asked him now to briefly explain his findings.
Okay. So, let's start back a little bit. This came up when the board was discussing the petition requirements for independent or small party candidates to get on the ballot. And there is state law, so this is 20-2-170, that basically says that a political party can put their candidate on the ballot without requirements for signatures on petitions if that party got at least 20% of the vote in the last election. So de facto, of course, that means the 2 main parties, Democrat and Republican, get their candidates on every ballot and nobody else does. Any independent or small party candidate has to get, if it's a statewide election, it's 1% of all eligible voters. If it's anything other than a statewide election, it's 5% of all eligible voters. The Green Party filed suit against the state of Georgia, Secretary of State, challenging that and won. And that was affirmed by the 11th Circuit in 2017, last year. So the 1% requirement for statewide elections is now declared unconstitutional, no longer applies. The 5% requirement for any other election hasn't yet been overturned by a court. In November of last year, the Libertarian Party of Georgia filed basically the same lawsuit concerning a U.S. congressional district race, challenging the 5% requirement for non-statewide elections. And of course, that's just filed, so that hasn't gone to court yet, no ruling on that yet. And again, even if that won, it still wouldn't address countywide elections. It would still be on 5% for U.S. congressional districts, unless the court chose to expand beyond the narrow question before it, which they typically don't. So then, I'll confess, I suppose I suggested at the last minute, maybe you could get around that by having nonpartisan races. However, in the state of Georgia, under OCGA 20-2-139, judicial races, school board races, and county commission races in consolidated counties can be nonpartisan. And there's a separate statute that allows all municipalities from the city of Atlanta to the city of Hahira to have nonpartisan elections. However, and of course consolidated counties are Athens, Clarke County, Augusta, Richmond County, those unified governments. So this would have to be a two-step process. First, the General Assembly would have to allow to add non-consolidated counties to that list of everyone else who can have nonpartisan elections. If they did that, then each county, just as it is with school boards and judicial offices and municipalities, each one could choose for itself whether to ask the General Assembly by local law to provide for nonpartisan elections for it or not. But again, you have to have both of those steps. So really all this board can do at this point is ask your local delegation to introduce a bill changing the general law. If that were changed, then you could come back and say, and for us, for Madison County, we would now like you to enact a local act making our races nonpartisan.
I don't see any of that happening, so brought it up. I got me a house full of pictures tonight. Good to see all y'all. What's the motion? I want this to be finalized tonight. Do I make a motion to no action?
You can. I just want to be sure that everybody follows the discussion. And I know Mike is he does a really good job. But I've had the benefit of having read that several times. and
reading is better.
But there are two things, and I think that the perhaps the part that to me certainly I was not aware of is that the legislators have to go before the General Assembly to get them to include Madison County a non-consolidated county or government, non-consolidated government, to be added or to be included for the same consideration as an Athens, Clarke, or a Bibb, Macon County. So until that happens, nothing happens below that level. Nothing can happen below that level then. But even when that does happen, the second step though is once that provision is possible, then your local delegation, your representatives and senators, they would have to then go before that body and petition on Madison counties have to be granted that. So the first is to make it possible to exist. The second is to actually be, and maybe the exact sentence that needs to be changed is the first sentence in 21-2-139. Notwithstanding any other provisions of this chapter to the contrary, the General Assembly may provide by local act for the election and nonpartisan elections of candidates to fill county judicial offices, offices of local school boards, and offices of consolidated governments which are filled by the vote of the electors of said county or political subdivision. So that would have to have non-consolidated county governments added to that list. Right. So at this level though, we can vote, we can say anything, and I don't want to delay us any longer here, but there were several comments made earlier about a unanimous vote and everything. That has nothing to do with either of those two items taking place, though. That has nothing to do with that. That is a preference, perhaps, by your local legislature. legislators. So removing that, there's still a requirement that this be approved or changed at the state level before anything can take place. And I think that's what that's where we are right now. So, until the county knows where your state is on this, any action we take though is it's not gonna change. It's not gonna impact anything right now. I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think it will.
And for whatever it's worth, it's not just here, it comes up for discussion every few years, it's statewide. The last time was back in 2009, I think. Representative Powell down in Columbus introduced a bill, and so it continues to be resisted by the powers that be to extend that to non-consolidated governments.
The common situation is that a person can go down, pay for us $216, put a letter behind the name, see if it be a D or an R, and they're there. And then the family, Tea Party, or anybody, just an individual must go down and pay $216, and they have to jump through hoops. And this world is full of discrimination, and I think that's probably a good one right there, a bad one. It is discrimination.
So here we are.
It's a shame we couldn't have told them that a couple hours ago.
Yeah. And we know people are passionate about it, and if, everybody has an opinion, and I think they're always valid. I just, the motion would be, then to either, I think at this point would be to take no action, because I don't think you're not gonna consider, a nonpartisan election at this point. You can consider supporting it, you can consider saying something about it, but as far as affecting a change, I don't think there's any actionable, item here, though.
I think the only thing you can do actionable is ask your legislators to, again, to change the general law, which of course is in their power to do. They've done it before. They add, consolidated governments didn't exist until a number of years ago, and it was changed at that time to add them. As Mr. Easko has implied, that might be too futile to bother with.
I'm glad to the table we talked about it. That's the first time that's happened. All these years, it's been talked about. It's been talked about here tonight. Thank you.
I stand ready to take a motion.
I did already.
You made a motion to take no action.
Take no action.
I have a motion to take no action.
Second.
I have a second. Would anybody want to discuss that further? The vote goes to Commissioner Bettis.
Yes.
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 Next item is roads update. Does anybody have any item for that? Yes, sir.
Could you get Long Road picked up?
And just to be clear, was that since Friday? Have you had any requests on that since
I
Friday?
had tonight.
Was that, Mr. Nix?
Mr. Nick.
We'll go down. We'll go down.
Scraping on White Center.
Any development on the Shaw just widening?
It is, yeah, so they're gonna I think they're within a month or so of, either letting a contract, or they'll come to the office of council. They will actually ask for our input. They've already agreed to do it. It's a project that's gonna happen, so, I think 303,000.
That's a daily question in my neighborhood.
Yeah. So that one, I feel a lot better answering than most of the ones I had tonight, so. Okay, anybody else have anything on those? I've got two real quick I gotta point out. Thank Bird. There's a bridge over there, it's the last wooden bridge. We're about to, I wish we could, we're about to have to block that road until something.
First driving Mexican.
I've asked DOT, they're actually looking and trying to help us out with some money on that. Lim Edwards, we got a pipe over there I had to visit today, I gotta go look at. And then Georgia Renewable Power has a road that runs right next to their facility. It's called Office Drive or Office Road. It is, we say we don't put speed bumps out. They have all sorts of heavy equipment moving in and out of there, and they're trying to, not on the frontage road of HB Chandler, but that side road, which goes nowhere. They're wanting to put a speed bump out there for their own people. No cost to the county, no involvement. They just need the approval. So, I'll go down there and talk with them about that.
Yeah, but wait a minute now.
Yeah.
We have a policy, we don't do speed bumps, it's liability to the county.
Correct. And that's why I'm saying, that's something, I don't have a real clear requirement from them on that. It's just like a request that came in from the company to see what could be done about that. But I wanted you to be aware of their request.
Well, their request, we don't do it.
Yeah.
They do the rumble strips.
Yeah. Anything else on roads? Okay. If you get your chance for 1 second. Any urgent matters? Statement and remarks from citizens. Would you like to? And your time starts now. What's your name first?
Jane Hertz Keene, and I live on Highway 98 next to the Isla Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay.
Now, if you don't know already, Dollar General has bought that property, and they're gonna be taking down the old house next to the fire station. I live in the next house over. Now, we had gotten approached, and we had a bunch of papers, and myself, nor my husband, a law degree graduate, so we hired an attorney. We paid $300, and nothing was accomplished. And from what we find out, we have to give up, because of GDOT, 5 feet of our property, which we do pay taxes on, that we really don't have a leg to stand on after we paid the $300 to try to figure out whatever the papers did say. And also, if they do take they said they will, no matter what, take 5 feet of our property. Not only that, is we do lose our tree that's been there before the house, and the house is 115 years old. We will not be able to make a circular driveway, which we planned on doing because nobody wants to come in my driveway and back out into 98. So we were going to make a circular driveway, but since GDOT is taking our 5 feet, we cannot, and we had to have papers notarized that we don't have a leg to stand on, we have to give up our 5 feet, and we cannot make a circular driveway for our own safety, on our own property. And I've been to the Iowa city council meetings, I know everybody on the board, I go to church with them, and from what it looks like is we're out $300, we're out 5 feet of our property, we're out of a tree, we're out of being able to make a circular driveway, and they are gonna make a turning lane, which is basically at our front door, which traffic is supposed to be 35 miles an hour, and if I stood out there with a radar detector, the city would be rich. And, our concern is, are people gonna slow down? Are we gonna have trucks all night long? Which is not a big concern. Our concern is, $300 may not sound like anything, but it's like $3 million to us that we paycheck to paycheck. We didn't get nothing accomplished, and they're still taking our property. And for our own safety, we cannot make on our own property a circular driveway for our own safety, so we don't have to back out. And now there's going to be more trucks than ever next to our house. Dollar General was across the street from our house, and that was fine, but being right next door is a different story.
Wow, I don't have a good answer for you. You hit the nail on the head a little bit though, as far as the locations. You are inside the city limits there, and it's not a very satisfying answer, but a lot of what we do and how we, the reason I don't know anything about it is because it is in the city limits, and nobody ever did, GDOT or the city never came to the board here.
Well, they said, even though got a lawyer, even though we did whatever research we did,
Right.
you can't fight City Hall, basically. They're gonna take what they wanna take.
Yeah.
But like I said, for our safety, we were planning on making a circular driveway, and now we cannot on our own property, because it's not our property, but we're still paying taxes on it.
Backside your property doesn't touch Westbrook Road or whatever that is back there.
Well, from what they told us at city council meetings, and we have all the diagrams at home, they required, because the fire department was a major concern, because they're right next door, and emergency vehicles are in and out at any given time. They don't want to block off the back street, which is Westbrook. So they made sure that if a tractor trailer comes in, it has to be able to turn around and go back out the way it came in. So that's gonna be a lot of traffic, and like I said, we get all day long, I wish I could get money for the city. They take breaks right in front of my door because they know they have to slow down for the corner.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure, and I don't want to mislead you, I don't know what I'd be able to do.
Also, one other thing I want to add, I'm not saying anything bad about him, but Michael Moore is living right next door to me, the sheriff. One day, in the 8 years I'm living in that house, he had a thing up there flashing how fast you're going. That was the quietest day in 8 years. I told him, I don't care to have only 50 hour lots of traffic.
I know what you mean. I'd have to talk to somebody. Like I said, I don't have anything to offer you as far as the right of way issue or the payments for anything, so, I don't know. I do know where you live now. If I come across anything,
The old mayor Cook's house, they said.
I got you. I know where you live, so if I hear or come across anything that might be of any use to you.
Well, from what I understand, like I said, I'm not no law degree or anything, but if it's your property, shouldn't you be able to do what you want on your property?
Kinda sorta. I mean, that's, yeah.
I mean, it's, like I said, we don't get visitors, people park at the firehouse and walk to my house because they don't want to back out of my driveway.
Yeah.
And also, in the 12 weeks that they're gonna be doing the construction, we're gonna have, my whole driveway is gonna be full of machinery, and we don't have a way out. That is our only way in and out.
Yes, they won't be blocking you, or you get in touch with your former neighbor and take that one. I assure you, he'll make that right. I'll let you know if I find anything. That's good enough. I don't know of anything right off the top of my head to offer you.
It's just a shame that we took $40 and all we did was get the letter notarized.
I feel your pain.
That's the way that our lawyers are.
Yeah.
Nobody hates them more than me.
Maybe while I was here, let me at least address it.
That's fair game.
Very frustrating.
I understand. All right, thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to make a party comment or shot here?
I started to ask for a show of hands to who all hates lawyers.
I do. Oh, you hate lawyers, is that what you're reason?
Well, I hate them, I want to make one party spot, just for the record.
Please.
Thank you very much for discussion on the nonpartisan issue. From a personal standpoint, I think you just did a cop-out. Nobody expected you to, if you had voted yes tonight, I mean, I knew that it had to go before the state. And I thought that the vote tonight was to ask your state representatives to take it and to get that process started. I knew that you could not enact that. I hope everybody else knew that coming here tonight. But I thought the vote would be to either ask your state delegation to take it to the General Assembly and ask them to start the process, or to
not to take it to your state delegation, not just to say, okay, we're not gonna take any action.
Come on.
I think that's a real cop-out.
It would have to be changed statewide. Not just to Madison County, it would have been statewide.
Jim, I understand that. But if nobody ever starts the process, then it won't ever get done. So, I thought that this commission was gonna start the process of at least asking our delegation. And our delegation may have said no, which I think they probably would have. But for you to take inaction, there's no action at all. Thank you.
Well, I would have voted no for it, if it means anything to you, and there's probably others here that would have, and it would have never gotten there anyway. But it is, now I'll say this, Mr. Canals, when we talk about this, you know, the sheriff and all this kind of stuff, who is the president of the Democratic Party of Madison County?
I am.
So it is y'all's responsibility to find these candidates that will run as sheriff and tax commissioner and all these other offices. It's not the responsibility of the Republican Party or anybody else in the county that you don't have those people to vote for on a straight Democratic ticket. Now, that's just my opinion. And that's why one reason why I would have voted no on it.
Well, I knew that. You and I have already talked about it.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew what your vote was.
But it's not a cop-out.
But you're not the only one that votes.
But I would have voted no, and they would have never put it before the General Assembly because I'd be that one no vote. And that's what I'm saying. It wasn't a cop-out. It wouldn't have worked anyway. Just saying.
Sure.
I take exception to cop-out, I really do. I'm sorry, I would have voted no too. I believe in core values, okay? If my dad was alive today, Therese, what did you do? Where are you? Yeah, I'm a county commissioner, Betty, okay? I have core beliefs, but I'm also a special ed teacher, probably that first. Okay, we teach in this county not to label, but to need. Okay? If somebody calls me on the phone, I'm not going to ask them what party they're affiliated with. It's about the heart. Okay? And I believe in some core values and some core beliefs. I don't mind for others to know that. I think people be transparent. And maybe I'm old school, but I am, and I'm proud of it. By golly, but you tell me when I go and teach my kids, oh, just because I'm a special ed teacher, I'm only going to teach my special ed kids? By golly, there's no way. I'm going to teach the ones that need me. Therefore, I'm going to serve the residents that need me.
Is there anybody else like to make a comment?
I say amen to that.
I second that.
Anybody else? Yes, sir, we have to bring back that, side agreement now. Oh, okay. Then, do I hear a motion to go into executive?
Motion to go to.
Yeah.
Motion.
We have a motion to go into executive, session to discuss potential litigation.
Second.
And I have a second. Well, any, votes to you, John?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Folks, we're going to, take a few minutes and, we'll be back. If you're here, you'll surprise me when we come back. We have two items. First is to approve the minutes of the, executive session. Motion.
So moved.
I have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a second. Questions, comments? To Commissioner Eastco.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second,
Yes.
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 all right. All right. Okay.